Hello class 8 student. Today we will start another chapter from your English textbook, that is chapter number 8, I Run Away to Dover, and this is written by Charles Dickens. It's a very interesting story about a boy. Let's see what is given in the story. After a while, I gave up the pursuit of the young man with the donkey cart and sat down on a doorstep with hardly breath enough to cry for the loss of my box and half junior. So the young boy is going somewhere, okay, and in the middle of his journey, he has to follow the young man, okay, young man with the donkey cart, who had took all his box, the box which he carry with him, which he carries with him, and maybe it has something very important, and his money. So then after he follow him to catch the man, but then after it is impossible for him to catch him. So he was really very tired, and then after he hardly breath, okay, he could not take breath, and then after he sat down on a doorstep and he cry for his loss of his box and loss of half Genua. It was by this time dark, so now it is the time, means like evening time, okay. I heard the clock strike 10. So he heard the clock, it strike 10, not evening time, you can say night time also. He saw the clock, it strike 10, and he sat resting there. But it was a summer night, so the night was a summer night, fortunately, and fine weather. It was good weather, summer night, good weather. When I had recovered my breath, I rose up and went on. So he felt tired after following that young man who took all his box and money. So as he recovered his breath, as he feel little bit good, then after he again rose up and he went on. He stood up and he went on his way. So in the midst of my distress, I had no notion of going back. So in the midst of my distress means maybe he was in big tension now, because he had lost his money and lost his box. But now in the middle of this, all these things, all these tensions and problems, he doesn't have any intention. Notion means intention. He doesn't have any intention to go back. Okay. So where he was going? The young boy, he was going to Dover. Dover is a name of a place. He was going to Dover if I had to walk all the way. So he is going to Dover. I trudged on miserably, and I happened to pass a little shop with a great many coats and pairs of trousers dangling from the low ceiling, and I noticed that ladies' and gentlemen's wardrobes were bought at the best price. So he was walking slowly. I trudged means walking slowly. He was walking slowly in a miserable condition, and then finally he got a little shop. He passed a little shop, and what is written there, a notice was written there that the coats and treasures of young ladies and gentlemen were bought at best price. So when he saw the notice, when he read the notice, he decided to sell his waistcoat. Okay, then he took off his waistcoat, and then after he neatly rolled it and put it under his arm, and he went to the shop door to sell his waistcoat, and in this way he will get some money. If you please, sir, I said, I wish to sell this for a fair price. Then he went inside, and then after he said to the shopkeeper that if you please, then I want to sell my this waistcoat at a fair price. Then Mr. Dolloby, so the name of the shopkeeper is Mr. Dolloby. Dolloby was the name over the shop door. So Dolloby was the name of the shop also, and Dolloby was the name of the shop owner also. At least spread the waistcoat on the counter. Then he took the waistcoat and he spread the waistcoat on the counter. Counter table means the top of the table. Held it up against the light. Again he saw the waistcoat properly. Okay, he took the waistcoat against the light, and see carefully whether there is any holes there, or any problem is there, or what. Then he looked at it carefully and ultimately said, then he said finally to the young boy, this, what do you call a fair price now for this here little waistcoat? He said waistcoat as waistcoat. That he said to the boy, the shop owner, he said to the boy that what fair price you want for this waistcoat. Okay, actually it is waistcoat, but he pronounced it as waistcoat. Then he said, with little hesitation, he said it would be maybe 18 pence. Okay, so he said that I hinted. So the young boy, he hinted, and by hesitantly he said that maybe it would be 18 pence. Then Mr. Dolloby rolled it up again and gave it back. Then Mr. Dolloby, he rolled his waistcoat and then he returned him back. I should rob myself blind, he said, if I was to offer 9 pence for it. Then he said, by returning it to him, that if I will give you this waistcoat at 9 pence also, then it would be robbing myself. Okay, he said like that, and in this way he denied to give him 18 pence. Means he don't want to give him even 9 pence also. Okay, he's, according to him, giving him at even 9 pence also is a big loss for him, loss for the shop owner. Then my circumstances being so very pressing, I said I would take 9 pence, which Mr. Dolloby gave, not without such some grumbling. Then after my circumstance, means his condition is also very very bad. He need some money, at least something he need. Then he finally agreed to take 9 pence for the waistcoat, and Mr. Dolloby, he gave him 9 pence and he took the waistcoat. I wished him good night and walked out of the shop, the richer by that sum. So at least he have something here. He had lost all his money, but at least he had now 9 pence, and he took those money, and then he came out from the shop by wishing him good night. And the poorer a waistcoat, and now he don't have a waistcoat, means he is rich by that sum of money, but he become poorer by a waistcoat, means he had lost his waistcoat. As I buttoned my jacket, I foresaw pretty clearly that my jacket would go next. Then he buttoned his jacket. Then he saw his jacket clearly. Then he thought that now this also I have to sell. Okay, and that I should deem myself lucky if I got to Dover in a shirt and a pair of trousers. Then he thought that to get the money, okay, in this entire journey, first I have to sell my waistcoat. Now I think I have to waste my jacket also. Then he is thinking by himself that I would feel lucky if I reach Dover with my, at least with my shirt and a pair of trousers. I don't want to sell my shirt and a pair of trousers. Okay, so this is all he was thinking. Then next, I spent the night on a haystack behind the wall of my old school. So on that night he could not continue his journey, as it is too late now. Okay, then he spent the night on the back side of the wall of his old school. It was some comfort to have the boys so near me. So he was feeling little bit of comfort to have the boys, means boys who are staying in that hostel near him. Although they knew nothing of my being there, they don't know that he is staying at the back of his school, but at least he is feeling little bit comfortable that at the mid of the night someone are there near to him. So never shall I forget the lonely sensation of lying down without a roof above my head. So he never forget this feeling of lying down without a roof. Okay, then the warm beam of the sun and the ringing of the getting up bell at Salim house awoke me. So in this way he spent his night, and then in the morning the warm beam of the sun and the ringing bell of the Salim house, means the ringing bell of the hostel, it woke him up. I crept away from the wall at the boy were getting up and started along the long dusty track which I knew to the Dover road. So he crept up, he stood up over the wall, and he tried to see the other side over the wall what the boys were doing. They are getting up, they are getting ready to go to the school. I got that day through 20 miles, though not easily, for I was new to that all kind of toil. So on that day he has to move at least 3 or 20 miles, okay, which is not easy for him, and it is another kind of hard work for him. As evening closed in and I crossed the beaches, Rochester foot store, and tired, and ate the bread that I had bought for supper. So as he was again started his journey, then after in the evening he crossed the bridge of Rochester foot store, and then he felt tired, and then after he sat there somewhere and he ate the bread which he had bought as his supper. One or two little house with the notice lodging for traveller had tempted me. So he saw 1 or 2 houses there in the middle of the road which is written as a notice that lodging for traveller. So he also want to take rest for one day, but he was afraid of spending those few monies which he had. So I crept at last upon a sort of grass-grown battery overhanging a lane where a sentry was walking to and fro. So again, in this way, the another day passed, okay, and he again spent his night near in a lane, okay, near a lane, and there grasses are there and a battery overhanging a lane. I think you have seen earlier time those hanging lights over the street, okay, which is battery hanging light over the street are there, and a sentry means a soldier. He was keeping guard, moving to and fro. So he lay near him, okay, near him. He was feeling little bit at least comfortable there. Here I lay down happy in the society of the sentry footstep and slept soundly until morning. So in this way he spent his night there. Let's move to next page. Very stiff and sore of foot I was in the morning as I went down the long narrow street in Chatham. So he woke up in the morning, and now he is unable to move fast because he felt very very tired. Okay, he did not have a good food also for all these days, and again in the morning he had to carry on his long journey into Chatham. Feeling that I could go but a very little way that day, I resolved to make the sale of my jacket its principal business. So he thought that he decided that today he will sell his jacket and he will have some money. So accordingly I took the jacket off, then he took his jacket off and carrying it under his arm. Then again he began a tour of inspection of the pawn shop. So again he started to find a shop where he can sell his jacket. So at last he found one that seemed suitable with second hand sailor clothes. So he saw a shop which deal with second hand clothes, okay. Oilskin hats and trays of rusty keys. So he went inside that shop and then he found that oilskin hat means very old hats are there, and then the tray of rusty keys are there, keys which got rusted, okay. Then he entered the shop. An ugly old man with the lower part of his face all covered with a stubbly grey beard seized me by the hair of my head. Then he entered the shop and he found there an ugly old man, okay, and his lower part of his face is all covered with thick grey beard. And then after that old man, he pulled him by hair of his head, okay. Then after the old man, he smiled at him and then he said, "Oh, what do you want?" in a first monotonous whine. So in a very firstly sound with a little bit of sweetness and stiff voice, he said, "What do you want? Oh my eyes and limb, what do you want? Oh Goro Goro." So actually it is the habit of the old man to say some extra words to the small boys and kids, like "oh my limbs and eyes, oh Goro Goro," like that, okay. So in this way he said to the young boy. Then after that I wanted to know, I said trembling, if you would buy a jacket. So after the way he treat, okay, so he felt little bit afraid of him. And then after with a trembling voice he said that I wanted to know that if you would buy this jacket. Then, "Oh, let's see the jacket," he said. The old man said, "Let's see the jacket. Oh, my heart on fire, show the jacket to us. Oh, my eyes and limbs, bring the jacket out." So in this way he said to the young boy, "Oh, my heart on fire, oh, my limbs and eyes," like that. He asked his jacket to see. So till by that time he is still holding his hair. So as he gave his jacket, so he leave his hand out of his hair, and then after put on a pair of spectacle, and then after, "Oh, how much for the jacket?" Then he examined the jacket, and then after he asked it, "How much you want for the jacket? Oh Goro, how much for the jacket?" Then after he answered, the boy, he answered that I want at least half a crown. Then, "Oh my eyes, no." Then said, "Oh my eyes, oh my limbs, no. 18 pence, Goro." Then he said, 18 pence, I can't give you 18 pence. Every time he uttered this ejaculation, his eyes seemed to be in danger of starting out. So ejaculation means every time whenever he say this, "Oh my limbs" and "oh my eyes" and "heart of fire," he means his eyes seemed in a danger of starting out, means his eyes will come out, means he make his eyes so big, okay. So he also feel afraid by looking his appearance, also the way he say, okay, the way he is talking to him. So he felt very afraid. Then after, well said, I glad to have closed the bargain, I will take 18 pence. Then he said that I will take 18 pence. Then, oh my liver, throwing the jacket on a shelf. Then he threw the jacket on the shelf and then said, get out of the shop. Oh my liver, get out of the shop. He asked the boy to get out. Oh my limb and Goro, don't ask for money, make it an exchange. He said that don't ask for money, you just exchange it. Means he took his jacket, but he don't want to give him money. He want to give something in exchange of that jacket. Okay. Then I never was so frightened in my life. So he was never feel so frightened in his life before or since. But I told him humbly. Then the young boy told him humbly that I don't need any other thing. I need money. I wanted money, and that nothing else was of any use to me. He said that nothing in your shop is of any use to me. Only I need money in exchange of my jacket. Then in this way the young boy said, and he would wait outside. He wait outside and had no wish to hurry him. And he said, means there is no hurry for him to go. Okay, so he went outside and he sat down in the shade of the corner. Okay, but the old man, he was not ready to give him money. He was ready to give something in exchange of that jacket, but he don't want to give him money. But the boy, he need only money, right? The old man made many attempts to induce me to consent to an exchange. So the old man, he tried to induce him. He tried to convince him to give anything to an exchange, but not money. So at one time he come out with his fishing rod, at another time he come out with his hat, another time he come out with a flute. So I resisted all these offers. He resisted means he did not accept any of these offers, and there he sat down in desperation that he will get money. And each time asking him, his tears, with tears in my eyes. So each time after that, whenever he asks his money, his tears come out. He has his tear in his eyes because he has to go to Dover alone, and more than that he need money. Then he asks money for his jacket. At last he began to pay me in halfpence at a time, and was full 2 hours getting to a shilling. So at last he finally agreed to pay him halfpence. Okay, and then after that also, after 2 hours, okay, 2 hours. Oh my eyes and limbs, peeping out of the shop after a long pause, will you go for 2 pence more? So he said that I will give you halfpence. Okay, then he said no, I need 18 pence. Then he said I will give only 2 pence more. Okay, then he said I can't, I shall be starved. He said no, I can't take so less. If you will give me so less, then I have to starve, means I have to go hungry. Then again he said okay, 3 pence. Then he said, oh, I would go for nothing if I could. I said, but I want the money badly. He said that I would go for nothing, I don't want anything, but I want the money badly. Then after, oh Goro, will you go for 4 pence? Then again he said okay, for 4 I will give you 4 pence. Then I was so faint and weary that I closed with this offer and taking the money. So he take that 4 pence, means he was so tired and so thirsty, means he was so weary that he don't have that much of energy to argue with that old man. So he agreed with the offer and he take 4 pence. And then after he went out more hungry and thirsty that I had ever been a little before sunset. So a little before sunset he went out of the shop with hungry and thirsty. But at an expense of 3 pence I soon refreshed myself. So with 3 pence he refreshed himself by having some water and food to eat, and being in better spirit then limped 7 miles upon my road. So he felt little bit refreshed, and then he walked at least 7 miles of journey again he had done. The next, my bed at night was under another haystack. So again on that night, his bed at night was again another haystack, where I rested comfortably. He rested comfortably after having washed my blistered feet in a stream. So his foot all got blistered, and you know now whenever a person they walk using the same shoes, they have got blistered in their feet. So he washed his blistered feet in the stream. When I took the road again next morning, I found that it lay through a succession of hop ground and orchard. So again in the morning when he started his journey, he found himself, he started his journey. Then he went in the middle of the hop ground, which hop ground is like, what you can say, like fruits, okay, which has the farming of fruits, okay. Orchard is also kind of fruits. So he went in the middle of that. It was sufficiently late in the year for the orchard to be ready with ripe apples. So it was very very late for that year that orchard was ripe, okay. All the apples were ripe, and in a few places the hop picker were already at work. So in few places some hop pickers are there, they are working, they are plucking the fruit. I thought it all extremely beautiful and made up my mind to sleep among the hops that night. So that night, another night also, he found that he can sleep no, in that night, in that garden, in that big garden, where fruit garden, with that all those hop, means all those peoples, in the middle of those peoples, he thought that he will feel little bit comfortable. But what happened? The trampers were worse than ever that day. Trampers means the local people. The local people, they behaved very very badly to him. Some of them were ferocious looking ruffians. Some of them were very very ferocious and looking like ruffians. Ruffians means those like the cats and all. And they stared at him, and then after they went towards him, and then they called after him to come back and speak to them. But he felt very very afraid of them. The young boy felt very very afraid of them. And when I took my heels, stoned me. So when he started to run, then they started to stone him, throw stone on him. And afterward, when I saw any of these people coming, I turned back until I could find a hiding place. So when he saw back, when he looked back and found those people, they are following him, then he tried to find a place to hide himself, where I remained until they had gone out of sight. So in this way his day became very very worse. He thought that he will stay there among the hope plucker, he will feel comfortable, but it doesn't happen like that. So they are very very ferocious people, and they started to hurt him. So on the sixth day of his flight, so sixth day of his journey, I came at last upon the bare white down near Dover, and then set foot in the town itself. Then after, on the sixth day of his journey, he finally came to the town of the Dover. Then he started to inquire about his aunt among the shopkeeper, okay. But not liking my appearance, they generally replied without hearing what I had to say. So on the sixth day, till the sixth day, what would be his condition, I think you can imagine. Yeah. So when those shopkeeper, they see his condition, they did not reply him. So they asked him to go out, okay. They did not reply him properly, they did not even they did not hear what his question also. I felt more miserable than I had done any period of my running away. So at a time when he did not get any kind of reply, did not get any good response from the people when he inquired about his aunt, so he felt very very miserable. So I felt more miserable than I had done at my period of my running away. My money was all gone. I had nothing left to dispose of. I was hungry, thirsty, and worn out, and seemed as distant from my end as if I had remained in London. So his money was also all gone. He had nothing left. Okay, he nothing left to sell also. He has sold his jacket, his waistcoat. Now he was hungry, he was feeling thirsty, and he was totally tired. And then after, he thought that it would be better for him to stay in London rather than coming to Dover. Then at length I went into a little shop and inquired if they could have the goodness to tell me where Miss Trotwood lived. So again he went to another shop, and then he tried to inquire whether they will answer or not. He also don't know, as rest of the shopkeeper, they did not reply him properly. Then he asked it, can you tell me that where Miss Trotwood lived? Miss Trotwood is the name of his aunt. Then a young woman turned round quickly. So there stood a young woman. She turned round quickly and said, my mistress, means she's replied to the boy, my mistress. But do you want with her, boy? Then she asked like that, why do you want her? Then I want to speak to her, if you please, I replied. Then he said that I want to talk to her if you want. Okay, then let's move to the next page, the last page. To beg of her, you mean? She retorted. Means she said, you want to beg her for something? No indeed, I said, but suddenly remembering that I came for no other purpose, I fell silent. He said, no, not for begging. But again he fell silent, that he doesn't have any other reason, any proper reason to tell her that for what purpose he came to meet Miss Trotwood. Then again he remained silent. My aunt's maid, as I suppose she was, put her shopping in a little basket and told me that I could follow her if I wanted to know where Miss Trotwood lived. Then he thought that maybe this lady is the maid, okay, maid of his aunt. Then after she was putting all her shopping in a little basket, and she told him that if you want to Miss Trotwood, then you have to follow me. Then he followed the young woman, and then soon they came by a little cottage with a carefully tended gardens. Beautiful gardens are there, then full of flowers in front of the campus. Okay, so the young woman, she said that this is Miss Trotwood's house, and that's all I have got to say. With which words she hurried into the house as if to shake off the responsibility of my appearance, and left me standing at the garden gate. So by saying this, she quickly moved inside the house, okay, and he was still waiting at the garden gate. I was by this time in a woeful condition. So by this time his condition is also, means his appearance is also not good. Very bad condition. His whole from from head to toe, his condition is very bad. The sole of his shoes has shed themselves bit by bit, and the upper leather also had burst open, means his shoes conditions are also not good, all torn out. His shirt and trousers also stained with heat, dew, grass, and the soil on which he had slept, and all torn. Okay, and then after might have frightened the bird from my aunt's garden. So he thought that his appearance can also frighten the birds which are in the aunt garden. Then his hair also, he could not comb his hair for last 6 to 7 days since he left London, and his face, neck and hand from all get exposure to air, sun, and they were burned with sunburn, you can say, and become very brown. So from head to foot I was powdered almost white and chalked with dust. And in this plight, and with a strong consciousness of it, I waited to introduce myself to and make my first impression on my formidable aunt. So in this way he had the, what you can say, the guts to introduce himself. In this appearance he had that strong consciousness to introduce himself to his and he wanted to make the first impression on his formidable aunt. Formidable aunt means the aunt who will feel frightened by looking at him, means frightful aunt. So this is all about the story adapted from David Copperfield. So to reach his aunt's house, to reach Miss Trotwood, he had to suffer all these things. So this is all about the story. I hope you understand. So for today this much. Thank you.